right, well, thank you all for being here. My topic today is 21st century marketing. How I organize this, I do a brief presentation, 5 to 10 minutes, that's didactic in nature, and then the floor is open for us to talk about what's going on in our own ministries and so on. And I especially like to hear about any difficulties you're having in marketing, and maybe we can do some brainstorming about that. But first, let me introduce myself to those of you who may not know me or are remote viewers with the recording. I'm Scott Giles, the Reverend Dr. Scott Giles, if you're interested in that. I am a board certified chaplain and a board certified diplomate of the National Guild of Hypnotists. I've been in practice for 40 years now as a medical hypnotist in a nonprofit church affiliated practice. I kind of specialize in oncology, working extensively with the cancer community, although I've worked with many others as well. When I started out doing this, I took some basic classes in how do you market your practice when you first opened up, and it was so different back then. I took a course in how to write a Yellow Pages ad. I think we probably all remember the Yellow Pages, although they're completely unviable now. But when you have a border and all of that, how to compose press releases to your local newspapers and so on, and how to look for invitations to speak to community groups. And I did all that. I mean, I had nice Yellow Page ads, and I had reporters, and I was interviewed even by the Chicago Tribune, and for a while I was saying my ministry was Have Chart Pad Will Travel, because I was constantly doing workshops and programs to community groups, hospice, nurses, and so on. But then when the internet became a bigger thing, that all began to recede. People began to use the net more to do their research and to decide where they wanted to spend their discretionary income. And I had set up, when I was setting up my practice, I worked with a coach who specializes in healing practices. Her name is Lynn Grodsky. PrivatePracticeSuccess.com is her company's website, although I think she may have just retired. And she was extremely helpful for me, especially getting me to charge appropriately for my services, which is something that we'll be talking about eventually in this program. I was a parish minister for 13 years. Then I crossed over into community ministry. And it was an internal battle to charge properly for my work, because parish clergy are trained to give away what they do. And this has proven to be a problem for every parish minister making the transition into community ministry that I've worked with. Not underselling yourself, but charging appropriately. But you have to be able to ask yourself the question, what's it worth? And put your answer to that question out into the public realm in the form of an invoice that you are seriously expecting other people to pay. And that can be really, really difficult. But I got to know Lynn Grodsky really well. I became a private client of hers, and I actually appear in a couple of her books. And so we were dialoguing about the change in the consumer of helping services. And part of this becomes clearly generational. I was born in 1951. That makes me a boomer. And it turns out that marketing to boomers is totally different than marketing to more recent generations. We boomers were born in a post-war society. There were high birth rates. There was a lot of expansion. And with that expansion came a lot of opportunity. There was competition for better jobs, but the meme was, Work as hard as you can. Pay your dues. Show up early. Stay late. There'll be upward mobility. Learn things from the ground up. People during that time typically had long-term employment. Companies were loyal to their workers. People had generous health care, defined benefit pensions, and so on. It was a different mindset about prosperity. It's completely different now. The post-boomer generations have a majority experience of broken homes. They're basically latchkey generations with both parents working. The much less financial security. Companies are right-sizing or downsizing. The cost of education became extraordinarily expensive. The people who really, the American society stratified with a very prosperous elite on top and all the rest of us below them. I often would remark that we were living really not in a democracy, but a plutocracy, government by and for the very wealthy. To the younger generations, they don't have the same kind of discretionary money that the boomer generation did, so they're much more conservative about how they spend their money. Work-life balance, much more important to them than it was for my generation. Experiences, destination weddings and stuff are expanding because that's what you take with you into the future, your memory of the good experience. You don't have, in an uncertain society. They are much more cynical. In fact, if you look at the slang of younger generations, you hear things like, well, that's glazed. What they mean by saying that something is glazed is they mean that it's been spun. May still be sort of truth, but there's some spinning going on with that. They'll talk about things being based if they appear to have a factual basis. Much more cynical. When you market to these people, and which we all have to do now, it's not about making your pitch. It's not about saying the wonderful things you can do for them or selling them on the benefit of your services. When you market to the post-boomer generations, it's really about all about building relationships. And if you take nothing else away today, take this. Your word-of-mouth reputation is priceless. You can't afford to do anything that's going to hurt your public word-of-mouth reputation because younger people talk to each other. They're all network and social networking and so on. And the kind of recommendations that they give each other are taken very, very seriously. So if you got a client from hell and you fired them, but they go around and they then badmouth you to all their friends, this has an enormous impact on your practice. Or they go on to Yelp or Facebook and give you a slamming review. This has an impact that nothing in the boomer consciousness relates to. To we children of the boom, people didn't have access to the public realm to flame you or trash you. They do now, through social networking and so on. So your word-of-mouth rep is huge, and you have to protect that. When you're selling a service, and we are helping professionals are selling a service, when you make your pitch to a boomer, if they like what they hear, they tend to buy. It's not true of younger generations. Younger generations will listen to your pitch. If they like what they hear, they're willing to continue to listen. They don't buy until they've listened to you long enough that they feel they know you. Then, when they're ready to buy, they buy from you. So you have to create your marketing plan where you're providing a flow of high quality information to potential clientele to nurture and warm the relationship so that they feel that they know you. Then when they're ready to buy, they buy from you. This is called leveraged social networking. And I'm going to put in the chat a book I'd like to recommend to you. It's written by a colleague and acquaintance of mine, Jason Linett, Work Smart Business. The book is about content marketing. And this is the big change. To the boomers, you make an attractive pitch. To more recent generations, that doesn't work. What you have to do to reach those people is content marketing. Content marketing is creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and maintain a clearly defined audience. So when you leverage your social networking, you go into the areas of whatever social network you're using, and I'll talk in a minute about which social networks to choose, and you find the groups and so on that, or the hashtags, whatever, that have something to do with what you're trying to offer. And then you proceed to provide a flow of free, high-quality content to these people. They get to know you over time. They get to know the quality of what you're providing. And then when they feel a need to buy, they will buy from you. But you have to provide that high-quality content. That's content marketing. It's no longer slogans. It's no longer an attractive pitch. It's no longer a catchy jingle. It's high-quality content. Need to choose your social networking platforms carefully. Facebook, for example, largely is for an older constituency these days. Now, for me, working with the cancer community, Facebook is ideal because cancer is overwhelmingly a disease of the elderly. We all hear about the tragedy of a younger person getting cancer, but the vast majority of cancer patients are older. And so if they're on any social networking, they're going to be on Facebook, which is what I use. But Instagram appeals to younger people, as does TikTok. So you need to figure out, who am I trying to reach and what social networks are they using? And then that's where you want to start making your content. Now, when you post content in these social networkings, I can't emphasize enough, don't hold back. You post your best stuff. You give it away. There's a tendency, and I had to fight myself on this too, to kind of do teasers, to say a little bit of stuff that's going to be interesting, but then if you want to know more, that doesn't work. They will sniff that out. They'll think you're baiting them. The younger generations are hypersensitive to scams because in our culture, scams are everywhere, and they know that. So they're not going to believe that if they've read something interesting, that if they become your client, that they're going to get even better stuff. They've got to be convinced that you have the goods from the get-go. So you don't hold back. You post your best stuff. A fatal mistake that a lot of people make when they start doing content marketing is they begin to basically pitch themselves in the content. And that is poison. The younger generations, they have really high-functioning bullshit detectors. if you are using the content you're posting not to educate and inform, but to boost yourself, they will not trust you. They will assume this is just someone who's on the make among all these many other people who are on the make. I'll go with these other people who always have something worthwhile for me to read. Another thing to bear in mind is that quality of content trumps production values. I do videos as part of my leveraged social networking. These days we emphasize Substack and we link into Facebook and so on. And I'll talk about that in future sessions. But I shoot 2 videos a week. One for the general public that anyone can watch, and then one for my premium subscribers on Substack. Now, you're looking at me now here on Zoom. This is a digital presentation. What's behind me is a professionally created Zoom background. This is what I began to figure out. I'm going to have to do video marketing. How do I do this? I hired some people who taught me how to do it. And one of the first things that came out of that instruction is that quality of content is the thing. And that's much more important than production values. Now, production values are not irrelevant. I have this background for all of my online work. When I prepare a video for presentation, there's a little bit of a musical lead in. I had to teach myself how to do all that with a slide in the front. See? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you say a few more words about this? What does it mean, production value?
Production values would be like if it looks like it was shot in a studio with a professional production crew, that would be like the highest end of the kind of video you're producing. And while that's nice, consistently, when we look at how people rate videos they encounter online by measuring, with the click on them, it is the content that's important. One of the videos, the entrepreneurs that I track is a guy whose channel on YouTube is called Entrepreneurs in Cars. And all he does is he has a GoPro camera in a windshield mount that he attaches to his windshield. And as he's driving to his office, he makes his content talking off the cuff. I mean, he probably has some sort of a plan to the GoPro, and then that's what he posts online. And so the production values are crap. I mean, it's literally a guy sitting in his car talking to a GoPro. But he's got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers. Because while the production values are really kind of homespun, the content is excellent. Content trumps production values. Now, I do my videos using the camera I'm using right now. This is a high-end webcam with a lens suspended in the middle of the screen. So if I'm looking at the lens, I'm also looking directly at you. The lens isn't above me. I find that the eye contact helps better. So I spent some coins on a digital background, good quality equipment. I edit my videos using Apple's video editing program, Final Cut Pro. I subscribe to a graphic service called Canva, canva.com. You can create graphics there which download to your computer, pre-formatted for YouTube, Instagram, and so on. Exactly what they need. So I do all that, but I don't hire a production crew. I'm not wedded to a online studio somewhere that's taking my videos and producing them professionally. I've seen people do that, Some colleagues in the hypnosis profession do it. Doesn't work anywhere near as well. Videos that have a little bit of a homespun aspect actually test better than things that are 100% professionally produced. Again, because it's all about building relationships. So when people can see you on video and they hear your chair squeak or whatever, or a cat walks on the bookshelf behind you, they like that. Because that's, you're not glazed. That is really you. And that's what they want, that connection. So content trumps production values. Always, 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 always. Now, another thing to bear in mind as you think about leveraging social networking is, unlike placing an ad in the newspaper and then having your phone ring the following week, nothing works fast anymore. Content marketing is the long haul. People have to know you, know your material online for quite a while before they seriously start thinking of contacting you. Such studies as have been done show that people need to see your name regularly in their social networking groups for at least 6 months before they actually begin to think about, well, maybe this person could help me. Now, my wife is Lindsay Bates, who is also a minister. She did 40 years as a parish minister in Geneva, Illinois. When she retired from the parish, I hired her and added her to my practice as our resident Reiki master, and we built a part-time practice for her. It took her literally 4 years for any of the content she was producing to begin to generate clientele for her practice. So nothing works fast anymore. Content marketing takes time. It needs to have that human personal touch because it's all about building that relationship. Like, the fastest way you can torpedo that is to start turning your content into ads for yourself or that sort of thing, because then people just, well, this person's just on the make. They're not real about helping me. Another thing to beware of, and I've seen a number of people fall for this, is we're in a scam culture. Scams are like everywhere. And some of them are government sanctioned. I think most health insurance amounts to a scam these days. Because of this, younger generation, because they have to be more prudent about managing their resources because they have fewer of them than their parents' generations did, they're all looking for scams. So you don't want to seem to be running one of those. So I make most of my money, and I've earned 6 figures in my practice from almost the first year. But in addition to one-on-one consultations, for which I charge $180 a session, I do 3 free programs every month for cancer patients and their caretakers that are sponsored by hospitals and wellness centers. And I've done as much as 4 before I got as old as I am. I don't have the energy to do that anymore. But I have such a free, I have a large free program. Again, it boosts my credibility. No one who's running a scam is, working with 75 people a month for free. So that reinforces the fact that this isn't a scam. And just as you don't want to seem to be running a scam, let me mention something on that. I only support a few hypnosis conferences nationally these days because my time and energy are limited. But I was asked to come to a new one by someone who had been a friend. So I put in a proposal and I attended. Uh, I found people who had only been certified for a year advertising training for hypnotists. Yet there's no way a practitioner in business for a year knows enough to be offering training to their colleagues. That's a scam, and it reeks of scam. And they were very surprised that they didn't get any clients out of their presentations. Well, because we all know that you're not serious. Now, the other part of be careful about scam cultures is don't fall for one yourself. And they're out there. There used to be, in fact, probably still are, companies that say, oh, we have so many clients, we're looking for people to refer our clients to. All you have to do is pay us X amount of dollars per month, and we will send you clients to your practice. This is a scam. What they will sometimes guarantee you X number of referrals per month, and you'll get them, but the referrals are garbage. You'll get the phone call and you'll talk to people, but if what actually turns out, we had one particular group that they got shut down by the government, so we had a chance to really look at them. The people who were potential clients calling the subscribers to this service were sorry, I have no idea what these gestures do and how they trigger things on Zoom. Yeah, I know if you make a thumbs up or some other things can happen too. But anyway, they weren't real clients. They were employees of the scam company. And they would call you pretending to be potential clients, and then they'd say, I'll think about it. So the client could say, well, you got the referral. It's not our fault that they didn't want to use your services. So don't fall for these scams. They are out there. No one's going to be giving away clients. That isn't how it works. Okay. Now, there's also been, and you have to think about this because it's happening even as we speak, the impact of artificial intelligence on social networking. If I'm going to use Facebook as an example because I know that the best. When you go into Facebook, what you see in your feed, now if they're coming from your friends and family, that's real. But if you're seeing stuff produced by the Facebook proprietary algorithm, and that's a lot of what you're seeing, 70% of algorithm-produced postings are artificial intelligence or robots. 70%. So when you're putting your stuff up there in the various groups and so on, the people you're trying to reach are only a small number of the people who may be subscribed to that group. Because most of the postings that appear on Facebook are computer generated. Likewise, you need to curate your own feed. On my Facebook, if you go on to Facebook and follow me as a friend, be happy to have you. But you're going to see my postings are about the benefits of hypnosis, cats, and coffee. Those are the three things I post about. I do not post about anything controversial. I, of course, have my own politics, and I get angry if things are happening, and I want to put up a strong post about what I'm opposing. But the problem is if you do that in your social networking, the algorithm knows you've done that and begins to direct material to you that it thinks you're likely to click on, and much of that stuff is just garbage. It's computer-produced postings. So you do not want to, in your natural organic postings on your personal feed, attract all this robotic garbage. And bear in mind that your clients might not agree with your politics. So you really don't want to put that out there in your social networking, or you're chasing away clients who might otherwise want to come to see you. So curate your feed. Do not engage in controversial stuff, and understanding that a lot of the stuff you see in your social networking feed is computer generated. Don't reply to it. Don't like it. Don't share it. Because when you do that, you're attracting the attention of the robot to you, and they're going to flood your feed with garbage. So let me just summarize here, and I will put this in the chat. Today it's not about making a pitch, it's about building relationships. Argument and controversy are bad for your business. Personal connection beats professionalism. That's the content trumps production values. And you must protect your word of mouth reputation. If people think you're on the make or that you're running a scam, you destroy the effectiveness of your online marketing. Okay, that's all I had to the didactic to share. Next month, for those of you who want to be here, we're going to talk about record keeping, confidentiality, regulatory laws, and the rule, and so on. And that stuff is important because one of the things I'm seeing is theological schools where they train people to do community ministry are not being even marginally attentive to what the laws say about what services you can provide. For example, in most states, you can't say I'm doing pastoral counseling unless you are licensed as a professional counselor. You can't say, well, my meditation training will help relieve your depression and anxiety, because depression and anxiety are diagnostic terms that are protected for licensed medical practitioners. So that's the sort of stuff we'll be talking about. And every year I get at least a dozen colleagues who contact me holding a cease and desist order because they were careless about what they said about themselves. So that's next month. But for this month, this is what I want you to get. It's not about making a pitch. It's about building relationships. Argument, controversy, and self-promotion are bad for your business. Personal connection beats professionalism. So having a catwalk through your camera is actually going to help people like you rather than hurt their perception of you. And you absolutely must protect your word of mouth reputation by not letting yourself appear to be scamming or puffing yourself. Okay, so what's your experience in marketing your work? What problems are you having?
Well, can I start?
Yeah.
Um, it's very true that if you just keep pitching, then that's all you got, right? We are teaching something, we're giving something to somebody who has value, and well, actually, that's the kind of work I did for over 30 years, as a coach, as a consultant. But I'm in a very new territory, like you say, in a digital world that I
Mhm.
feel like I'm totally lost and just lost. I have a very specific question. You say you had to keep giving it away for some time. Well, I'm imagining what your kind of work, right? You could teach people the benefit of hypnostic, and but when they ask you to help, you actually use your skill. That's what's so selling. They had to actually you had to actually touch them. They had to be in front of you or whatever. You're actually gonna do it, right?
Well, first, half my clientele are online as a
Okay,
hypnotist. I have clients all over the world.
okay,
In fact, I just added the Lunar New Year to my holiday card, so because I've got so many clients in Asia and Malaysia now.
yeah,
So, and by the way, you cannot, in my home state of Illinois, you do not touch clients. If you touch
I
clients, that
understand.
is the practice of massage therapy to get closed down. So,
No, that's what I don't
okay.
mean touch actually.
But
I mean,
how I position this is my basic message is I show people how to take control of their lives through the power of their
mhm,
mind. So when I post stuff, it's let me show you how you can use your natural, God given self hypnotic ability to overcome problems in your dating life or mourning of the loss of a beloved animal or increasing your productivity at work. I'm always giving out material that people can take and use themselves without having to employ me. And then
mm,
when they've got a serious issue, well, Giles helps me sleep. When I had to make that
mhm.
presentation and I had stage fright, I used this thing he showed me and it worked. Okay, now I'm sick. I need more serious help. He's the guy I'm gonna call. But you gotta have that constant flow of high quality content. If you're a coach, I mean, I work with coaches all the time. The 9 fear fighting techniques for your performance evaluation. There are
Mhm,
always things that you can put out there that people can
mhm.
take and use in their own life without needing to become your client. Then, when they want something serious, they will become your client. They will know they have a serious problem and they are willing to pay the kind of fees that you're charging.
So let's use example. Okay, I do a lot of grief work.
Okay?
People, some of them have lost somebody already been 10 years, they're still not finished.
Hmm.
So they come to me and then I help them. I basically give it away. This is my own congregation. That's another serious talk I need to have with you is I don't think I can sell to my own congregation and charge money for it. So I'm a member of this congregation.
Oh,
So
okay. I'm,
I
I'm,
don't know
I've been a
I
member
don't
of
know how.
Countryside Church for 40 years, and I originally went there because I did not want to run into clients on Sunday morning, but I've been there so long that I got church members coming to me all the time, and they get charged
No.
the same amount as everyone else.
Well, that would be a very different, that would be a separate subject.
Yeah.
How do you get over that hump, right? But I guess what I'm saying is the grief is it's not a how do I call it? I really want to buy into this thing called content, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of time I feel my work is more process. When they experience me, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's in person, we're in the journey together. Most of the time I'm doing listening. I'm doing just listen and listen and listen. And somehow, somewhere in themselves, they got relief.
Hmm.
And I don't know how to put content out there.
Okay.
I'm just
Is
using this
Now
as an
I'm not
example.
trying to tell you what to do, but let
Okay.
me just, as an example, generate some content ideas from what you've just
Mm-hmm.
told me.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, are you mourning the loss of a beloved pet?
Mm.
Did your pet,
Yeah.
cat, dog, parrot, rat, whatever,
Yep. Yeah.
really, was that your soul animal? Did that really have a connection? That loss
Mm-hmm.
could be as significant as the loss of a human companion. So
Mm-hmm.
here are 5 things to keep in mind as you're going through
Ah,
your grief
okay.
experience with your pet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another thing I might do would be um, when you get a life changing diagnosis and you realize that it's going to change your life. There's going to be
Mm-hmm.
grief that's going to come in the wake
Mm-hmm.
of that realization. Here are 3 things to keep in mind as you
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to find your new normal. See,
Yeah.
that's what I would suggest for that sort of thing. And people who just lost their pet rat would read that and they would, if it helped
Mm-hmm.
them, then when they have a more serious issue, you're who comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
content marketing.
Got it.
But you need to
Yeah.
think about, okay, given what I do, what can I put out there for other people to use that's going to be high quality, useful to them without their having to take any risk by hiring me, but prove my bona fides by having it
Hmm.
work.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
All right?
Thank you. Thank
Anyone
you.
else?
Lisa, do you I want to surface for a little short of time, or I could say a little bit?
Okay.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay. Yeah, my situation is that it is true that when I worked for the Alban Institute, they did some of the marketing for me, largely running on quite a lot of capital built up over years. Just the branding was so
Right.
powerful that it got me involved in across a lot of denominations. My work is congregational consulting,
Mhm.
and they also made it possible for me to publish a couple of books, the second of which was successful, and I just finished the third edition. And so my situation has been I've never really had to do a lot of marketing for the purpose of getting clients. But a lot of what Scott says I find very helpful because where I am now is that I've been part of a group of former Alban consultants. Alban dissolved. I'll tell you the story sometime over a beer in 2014. Bad decision. Unfortunately, very board related. It was quite educational for me, and we've been doing very well as independent consultants associated in a loose confederation of people who give away content via a blog, an old-fashioned blog that some of you may know about, congregationalconsulting.org, that I edit and publish. Now we're to the point where we're getting old enough that we want to quit doing that, and some of us want to go to Substack, which is more modern and up to date,
Right. That's why I use.
and so I'm working with a smaller group that want to do that, um, and and uh, and so looking afresh at what works with the little kicker in it that unlike all the work we've done before in shaping and creating the perspectives blog that we've been putting out is that we're most of us to the point where the punchline is not hire us to be your consultant. The punchline really is that we want to be of value to you. Well, we're doing a little coaching, more or less. I do some coaching still, but mostly I'm the author of that book, and which is an interesting thing because it means I have fans who get mad when I change my mind about anything since I wrote the book.
What you said in chapter 4.
I know they have it marked. Um, so I'm in the process of forming a Substack uh, for myself and working with this little group to do our various different things and thinking about it's really the deep question of for what.
Well, that's that relating to. Why would I get the replay of the last month's session where we talked about the
Mm,
basic message, which is your uh, concise articulation of exactly what service you're providing,
yeah,
and that
which
needs
is
to
to
be
say
clear. It
as
needs to be.
little as possible right
Yeah,
now because we're doing other things.
well, you still got to find some verbal expression of that. That is so clear and so simple it can get into almost everything you do. Now, let me give
Yeah,
you an example. When I was parish minister, we hired one of the Almond consultants. I'm sure you know him, Roy Oswald,
of
and
course.
he did a great job for us. And he had a little thing on the side about spiritual techniques. Now, I don't know what Roy's doing these days or if he's doing anything, but
Well,
um,
he's in final days now.
okay, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
He, good guy, did great work for us. But like, I could just see how taking that little side thing he was doing, like personal chanting as a spiritual method. He had a series, because he used chanting extensively. In fact, his method of meditation was to go jog. And as he was jogging, he would be chanting. Uh, he had another ritual of taking a shower with visualizations of of things being released or things coming into your heart. I could see how you could package that into very attractive content that you could give away that people would adore, showing them how to be spiritual in the sense of doing what you were already doing in a spiritual way as opposed to doing something particular that's spiritual. Um, then that would build your Substack readership or so on. And then in terms of what your purpose is, you might want to design a very premium level program, or like I do mentoring for colleagues who are really, really serious about transforming their hypnosis practice. I don't take everyone who contact, I'm going to take about 20% of the people who contact me, and I charge a lot for it. So it's a high level premium service for people that already regard me as pre-qualified. So you might want to think about having that.
Well, I have thought about that, how to be rich and famous by doing congregational consulting. It's a slightly more far-fetched no, actually, let me
It's not far-fetched at all.
let me pre-float my actual mission statement,
Okay.
which is I just finished this third edition, so I'm a little bit still in book writing mode. But the I think the my mission now for probably the next rest of my life is to support leaders in sustaining and rebuilding the the structures of social connection that will make it possible for us to survive as a society. It's I think I'll probably become more political, which means choosing as I've always chosen. Maybe it's a little different from your practice in the sense that I define my clientele for a long time as left of center congregations.
Mhm.
And I don't put that in writing, but that's essentially how I choose what to say yes to, is that I've had enough experience with congregations I don't want to succeed at what they're trying to do, that I just choose not to be there except by mistake. And I think that's what I'm looking for. I think that the kinds of skills that I have to offer are some of the tools we need in order to counter and survive what's going on in the wider culture.
I could see how to package that.
Good.
I mean, the one thing I would point out is that skills in managing congregation conflict apply also in managing any form of conflict.
Right.
Mhm.
Conflict, by the way, is not my focus, but
Okay,
yeah,
but that would be an example. Or
yeah.
effectiveness. You could take the skills for congregational effectiveness, but also help people with any business enterprise they're involved in. And
Hmm.
so, as they learn from you how to do this within their congregation, they're also acquiring a valuable skill that they're going to be able to use.
Oh yeah, I hear that all the time.
That,
Yeah.
but that's that. Don't dismiss that. That's big.
Yeah,
That's
no, no,
big.
no. Well, no, I get hired by people to work in other kinds of organizations. I mean, I
Right.
have. I'm really not doing that much work now,
Mhm.
mostly with individuals. But yeah, no, no, no. That's absolutely true. I think though that there's a bigger thing happening, which is that which kind of goes to that question, which is that people don't believe in institutions anymore.
Yeah.
And it's partly related to some of those things you were educating us about generational change, is
Yes.
that part of the work the word cynicism does is to talk about the way that our culture trains us all to think of ourselves as consumers.
Hmm.
And I'm very aware that as a commercial outrider on the nonprofit organizational world of congregations, I'm at risk of reinforcing that. And my purpose actually is to undermine that a little bit
Okay.
by by helping people, by offering people an opportunity to actually believe in things like promises and relationships that are not about trusting that somebody's going to meet my needs, but
Mhm.
trusting in reciprocity over time.
Hmm.
And authority can be legitimate. Um, well, this
Yeah, yeah,
this turns out to be a long time
I kind
concern
of
of
get
mine.
that feel, and I would think that you may want to think about moving away from the congregational consulting label and do something a little bit more uh, broader based. That
Yeah.
what you teach is radical civility in an uncivil world.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm going actually, is because I'm not actually planning to do kind of congregational consulting
Okay.
much anymore. Which is weird because I have this, a book. There are 300,000 congregations in North America, and I've sold 330,000 of my book. I'm not a fringe phenomenon.
No,
I'm a very
I
secret.
like your book. Yeah,
Yeah, good. No, but
but
it's
that idea of radical civility in an uncivil
yeah.
world, that
Well, yeah, I don't know so much civility.
everywhere.
Honestly, I'm less civil than most clergy.
Mhm.
Um, what I would say is um, it's a willingness to commit, to join, and to confer authority and to hold it accountable.
Mhm.
It is
So you're
very
trying to help people
countercultural.
build healthy systems, healthy structures in their life. But I mean, I want to try to process it now, but that is certainly viable as heck. I could see how you could produce a ton of material that would be interesting to people as a way of building the recognition of your own expertise.
Yeah. Of course, what's new to me is that I'm not then selling my services.
Well, but you can if you want to.
Well, I can, but I don't want to. I'm
Okay,
actually
well then
retiring.
fine, don't. But if you just put the high quality content out there, you will attract people who will basically
Yeah,
say, "May I pay you?"
right. I know, and that has happened for a long time. Although I've always wanted to be paid. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting.
Okay. Anyone else?
Thank you,
Okay,
Scott.
we are at the end of our hour. I want to thank you all very much for being here, and I hope you'll consider coming back next month. We'll be talking about how to stay out of jail, basically, how not to get a cease and desist order. Okay,
So, Scott, I will email you because I do need to talk to you some more
that's
about
fine. Go ahead.
boundary.
In
Yeah.
fact, I'm gonna in the chat. I'm gonna put my website. Simply
Okay.
go there, click on Book Now, and click on free discovery call, Dr. Giles, by phone or Zoom. And the
All
system
right.
will automatically guide you to set up a time in your time zone and my time zone where we can connect. There's no charge and no obligation.
So this is your website,
Right. csgiles.org.
CS
And
Giles.
then just click on Book Now and you'll see the menu. Free
Okay.
discovery call by phone or Zoom. And
Okay.
I'm sure you schedule
Okay.
with me, not with my wife. And,
Okay.
and then we'll have a chance to talk without it.
Though Lindsay could be helpful too.
Yes, you could. Thank you all
But
very much.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good
Bye-bye.
to
Nice
see you, Scott.
nice to meet you, Dan. Bye.
Good to meet you,
Good seeing you,
Celia.
Dan.